I am here with Comix the Saber, and they're going to be introducing me to some of furry culture. So this is going to be sort of like freestyle interview, like podcast type thing. And why don't you say hello?
Hi.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Comix. I've been a furry for a couple years now. And I'm here to just talk about furry stuff.
Let's start this off with, how did you get into fursuiting and fursona culture?
So, being a furry, it's kind of like a pipeline. You don't often just start off being a furry. You often, you're a fan of anthropomorphic animals and, the movies or maybe a video game or books behind it. I know furries who have gotten into being a furry from warrior cats or The Lion King, which was kind of my path, and, Zootopia and other media revolving around anthropomorphic animals is mostly how you can get into it.
What's your general take on furry culture? I don't know, just talk me through it.
I don't even know how to answer that.
It's okay, take your time.
So, what would you define as, furry culture? Because there's such a massive umbrella that revolves around being a furry and, having a community. It's not just being a furry, there's, car furries or, furries into, PS2 video games. There's so many little boxes you could put furries into that are more than just having a fursona or liking anthropomorphic animals.
So I obviously don't have a large wealth of knowledge of furries, so in my mind I separate it into two separate categories, the one where it's more sexual and the one where it's more just cosplaying. And I just see it as something I don't know, I see it essentially as cosplaying OCs, except they happen to be animals, and I see it definitely as this really intricate art form.
Well, I'm glad you see it that way, because that's pretty much what it is. It's really just making your own character, and you don't even have to cosplay this character. Wearing a tail is enough, not wearing anything is enough. It's just owning your persona and being yeah, that guy's kind of me, or maybe it is me, or maybe it's my ideal self, something like that.
Could you debunk some common misconceptions people have about furries for me?
Well, one thing is that the furry fandom is entirely not safe for work. A lot of people have that misconception that, this is a kink or a sex thing. It's not. It's cosplay. Well, it does have a little bit of overlap into not safe for work. And I don't want to be that person and say, oh, it's not. It's only a little bit. It is. There is a lot of furry not safe for work, but there's as much not safe for work in this fandom as there is in any other furry fandom. It's not just it's not just porn. There's and even when there is, a lot of it sometimes is a form of self-expression, queer identity. 80% of furries are queer, and so it's, even when it is not safe for work, which the fandom's not entirely safe for work, it is still an art form, overarching, and yeah.
People definitely do have, a lot of people have that misconception, and, I'm glad I don't have that misconception, but, I feel it's very prevalent in society. Tell us more about how people perceive you in your fursona.
Well, it depends on the space, really. If I went into Walmart in my fursuit head, which I have absolutely no intentions of doing, I would be seen as that weirdo who's bringing a kink into Walmart, because again, a lot of people still think it's a kink despite being a mostly safer work hobby. But if I wore this to a convention, I wore my suit for the first time in public to Denver Fan Expo, and I did not receive any judgment, or especially any hate that you would see online or in non cosplay or furry spaces. it's a lot different depending how I'm perceived, depending on the space.
We should go into Walmart one time. Okay, we're not gonna do that.
I used to be that person. I'm not gonna fursuit in stores. That's just not my thing. Maybe like the closest thing being an artist alley of a convention, but I'm not gonna be the person to fursuit in a store.
So is this more of a like public or private thing for you?
For me, it's more private, just because, again, like, society, we live in a society. Society. But no, mostly because, like, of, like, you know, general reactions to furries is, oh, it's just kind of weird, which I totally get it. Furries are definitely weird. Like, I'm talking to the audience here in, like, a foam carpet helmet thing. Like, it's weird, and it's weird that I get enjoyment out of it too. But like, yeah, I forgot the question.
It's okay, me too. Can you tell us more about your particular persona? Like any comics lore? Like, where did you come up with this? Like, that kind of stuff.
Well, when making my persona, I did like consider a couple things. I wanted to incorporate navy blue since it's my favorite color, and I wanted to make my character a saber-toothed tiger because saber-toothed tigers are my favorite animal. So that's really what came about when I made comics, and a lot of my like there isn't a ton of lore behind comics because I know like people will like have a whole multiverse within their OCs and traumatize living daylights out of them for funsies because that's what you do when you have original characters. But I'd like to say that most of my characters are relatively unscathed in terms of like trauma or like anything like that. Comics is just a fella. They just like doing the silly goofy things, eating fruit gummies.
I like that too.
Yeah, you can't really see it in my suit, but the official in my like official character art, Comix has like two like curled up teeth from the top row of their teeth, and I say that's from eating so many gummies that it permanently bent their teeth. I don't know how that would be actually possible, but it just is.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's scientifically possible, but it's your character, it's your world. You can make whatever you want of it, really.
Yeah, I just like my guys to be silly, so that's what I did with comics. That's what I do with most of my other characters.
Just a silly little guy. Tell us more about the general community. Like, what is the sense of community there, and like, how do you find that sense of community?
Well, truth be told, I haven't found a ton of a community. Like, I don't really have a huge circle of furry friends. I have a handful of furry friends, really, including my suit maker. So, when you, like, find that community, it typically is not just because you're a furry. It's just because you can be a furry and, like, it be in this community and, like, that's your thing. But you often, like, find spaces in the community depending on, like, what you're into. Like, if it's a video game, or if you're an artist and you make a bunch of artist friends, or a dancer, you could be a fursuit dancer and you could have a bunch of pals that also like doing freestyle on the dance floor.
On the dance floor. We just saw the Barbie movie, so I think they have that the dance floor scene in their head, which I do. I always do.
I have it perpetually in my head. That's just the only thing that goes on up here.
Mm-hmm. Is there like a lot of drama in the furry community, would you say?
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say that there isn't drama. Like every other week, someone popular within the furry fandom or popufur, is like outed. I know, it's a weird term. It really is. It's just a thing we do, and like they'll get outed for being like a terrible person or talking to like people they shouldn't be talking to, doing things they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
It's common, but it's like that's the thing with being in any space at all, is if there's a bad person, it's best that they be outed. And it doesn't encapsulate like the furry fandom as a whole. It's more so just like
individual people.
Yeah.
Like you get that a lot in like different fandoms and like different communities and different groups and like politics as well. Like, there are just bad people in every, like, group of life that just, like, you know, spread negativity.
Yeah, it is really dependent on the individual, because like if you look at like other spaces where like cosplayers are outed for stalking or talking to minors or something, it's
I'm not a groomer. I'm just a loser. Sorry.
the only thing I ever groomed were my 2 Persian cats. But no, like people get like outed for being terrible every day, but that is not like a reflection of the fandom. Unless you're a My Hero Academia fan, then I'm glad that reflects you. I hate y'all.
Oh my god. I do not condone slander, but Comix is my guest, and their opinions have been stated.
No, it's
Disclaimer.
it's lighthearted. Trust me, I'm not like actually gonna like find someone's address for being a My Hero fan. I do not care that much. I'm just here to make jokes.
That's good. Your jokes are funny. Can you tell me a joke? A good dad joke?
What is the difference between an old bus station and a lobster with breast implants?
What?
One's a crusty bus station and the other is a busty crustacean.
That was good. You should follow them. What's your at?
It's Comix the Saber. That's my ad on most things except my Twitter.
Comix the Saber.
Yeah.
Any other remarks, like anything you wish to speak about to my audience?
Yeah, it's mostly just like we're here to chill. We don't want to like, aggravate us. We do get a lot of hate online, especially TikTok, as I mentioned. A lot of people just like want to crap on other people for having just a silly hobby because they're miserable with their lives. But I just want to say that, like, don't do that. We're not out here. If my life really affects you that much, talk to me personally, man. Like, don't be like stalking and harassing people. That's just weird.
Well, it was wonderful having you on, Comix. It was very nice talking to you.
Very nice talking to you too.
Thank you for informing us about the furry community. Any closing remarks?
Oh, whoa.
Ooh. Thank you.